taxpayers and voters here. And the school is paid for by the taxpayers. And your vote, yes or no, is going to be watched by all the voters. And apparently you haven't stated your reason that I've heard. I'm nervous. Are you? Why you would deny the use of the gun show there? And I assume that you're afraid of guns. That it's you want to keep guns away from people, kids, and this community up here is a hunting and fishing community, and I would guess 90% of the homes up here have guns in them. So you're not keeping the kids away from guns. It's more of a political agenda is what you're doing by voting against having a gun show in the auditorium. I cannot understand any reason why you wouldn't want it there, because then everybody here and other people that aren't here are watching how you vote, and you're elected, so keep that in mind.
Thank you.
I have been a veterinarian in Spooner for 35 years. I'm a lifetime member of IRPC. I'm a rabid proponent of the Second Amendment. I am here to urge you to allow the gun show to continue. I know of no reason or know of no history of gun shows and gun violence, particularly in Washburn County or anywhere else. I find it somewhat ironic that we have laws that say no guns in schools. If I was a crazy man, and some people have claimed I am, but if I was going to create a massacre, I would go to a school, I would go to a hospital, I would go to a mall, I would go somewhere where I know there's going to be no guns, because then I can get away with what I'm going to do, and then I get to kill myself instead of someone shooting me. Pretty much, the history of this gun show is, this 20-year history, the donations that we make. If this is denied, I'm sure we can find some other organization to take our money. Maybe the NRA would like it. Maybe the Shell Lake School District would like it. Maybe mine would. Anyway, so I urge you to leave it as it is and don't change this rule.
I'm Jackie Perlin. I'm a resident of Spooner here. I came to Spooner 10 years ago, and I was confused and surprised when I learned that a gun show was being held at the elementary school. I believe we should follow a movement of the rest of the country and role model a consistent message to our children. And so as a community member, I recommend that the school board no longer make exceptions to the policy which maintains that our school facility will be a gun-free zone. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Baer. Been a resident of Spooner for about 10 years. I also am a member of the IRPC here locally, and by chance, I'm the executive officer in charge of safety. Pertaining to our gun show, we hold it every year at the elementary school, as we know. It's been held professionally, responsibly, and with all due concern to safety. Utmost safety first. Before you vote, or when you vote, I urge you to look at our record. Please consider that carefully. There hasn't been a problem, and I don't foresee a problem ever at the elementary school concerning our gun show.
I don't think it's a matter of guns. It's a matter of a mental problem in the news media and the video. The gun is an isolated situation that sits on the table for 100 years unless somebody picks it up. Now, I'm a veteran. I have two sons that are veterans. So all of us swore to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. I have one son that's still active in it. and that's why I'm here. You people are able to say your First Amendment rights, and I am here to say my First and the Second Amendment rights. And if you want to take away the gun show, you're starting to violate the Second Amendment just as well. Thank you.
My name is Dennis Wood. We moved up here from Racine. Anybody know about that place? Pretty nasty. Between Milwaukee and Chicago. We had one daughter to raise, and I wasn't going to raise her down there. I'm here to support the gun show. I went to gun shows down there. No incidents, nothing happened. Family events, people bring their family, people bring their kids. When I was a cub and going to school, I rode on a bus with my .22 rifle to my high school. We had a shooting range in the basement in Racine, Wisconsin. You know what that's like? You ever been there? That's hell. Up here, it's altogether different. I've been coming up here since I was 16. The people are so different. Once you hit that line, that imaginary line by Madison, things change big time. It's great up here. The gun shows, the ones that I've attended to at the Spooner Middle School have been without incident. Why would you not have a gun show there? That's the question. There's nothing harmful going on. Most of the laws that I've seen enacted. I own and operate Sorona Gunworks, which is a gunsmithing place. I started a shop down there, I had a shop down there for 28 years. And until we had concealed carry, I can't tell you how many women who had restraining orders from some entity that were ignored and wanted to carry a gun but couldn't. They were told by the legislators, give some mace. It doesn't stop anybody. But I just want to tell you, I haven't seen anything erroneous going on at the middle school gun show. I see no reason to discontinue it unless somebody can show me some heinous act that's been done during that show. And I'd like to see the evidence of that.
Dan Bodie, I'm a 12-year veteran of the Marine Corps, and I'm also an officer for the city of Spooner here. I believe the gun show has no problem. It's an act of education. Our children need to be educated on the use of guns and the proper use of them. It is not something to be scared of. The reason why we have a free country is because there's men who are willing to put their lives in danger for other people, and they use a gun to do it.
Thank you.
John Harrington from the town of Beaverbrook. Just a very short statement I'm going to make. I graduated from Spooner High School in 1956. I went to grade school in Spooner in 1947. Things have changed from then to now, of course. I brought a hand grenade and set it on the teacher's desk. Vern Spafford. Nothing was ever said. It was the fuse is gone. And in 1955, I brought a shotgun to school on the school bus, walked down to Horace Mann Building, put it in the wall locker, walked right by Art Golden's office, and nothing was ever said. I let a fellow use it, take it home. So what's the big deal about having guns in the school?
Good evening, my name is Frank Allen. First, I'd like to thank the board for their service to the community. It's not an easy job, local politics are really hard and thankless. Second of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak and pay attention to the public. Third, I'd like to support the school still having the gun show. It provides resources to the school. It also provides and supports the establishment of IRPC, which serves the community's law enforcement functions and for training for gun safety.
My name is Rick Harder, almost a lifetime resident of Spooner. I graduated from this school in '72, not quite as long. I do remember Art Golden though. Never brought a gun to school, but at the time we started, I don't think it would have been a problem. I've only been to one of the gun shows that's been here, and I can't say that I saw a problem at all. I don't go to a lot of gun shows, and it's just my personal choice, but I certainly don't feel that there should be a knee-jerk, feel-good reaction to what happened on the East Coast. I think that's what this is all about. I really don't think that there would be a problem. from a gun show, and I think that's going to create a massacre in itself. And I think that the school board really should think about that. I'm also a hunter's education. I am licensed to be a hunter's education instructor. We just got with my schedule. My wife and I both had to quit about 2 years ago, I guess now, but I had been an instructor for around 15 years. And I think education also, to educate the kids is the answer. They don't have to be afraid of guns. If a gun stays on a table for 100 years, it's not going to hurt anyone until that person picks it up. And we can't control somebody that's deranged, that wants to do that. If they want to kill, they'll find some way to do it, be it with a knife, be it with a bomb. But a gun itself is not the problem.
My name is Swan Undum. I've lived here since 1974. I'm a lifetime member of IRPC. I've had 7 kids go through hunter safety, and I don't see anything wrong with having the gun show at the school.
My name is Jason Martell. I'm from Evergreen. The taxpayers pay for the school. The gun show gives money back to the school. It gives money back to everything else. Education about guns so that the little guys who stay home and play there, shoot them up on the Xbox all day, realizing what a gun actually does might be more important than banishing them and putting a big red X across them.
I'm Mike Schrader from Spooner. I'm a hunter safety instructor. I'm a certified NRA instructor. And the one thing I like to emphasize what's going on with the gun show is that safety comes first. When we come in on Friday, we have no access to the rest of the building. It's not that somebody can stash something. The gates go up, we can't get beyond them. So we are in the gym. The firearms coming in at any time are checked. And when they're handled, they're checked. Nobody wants anything to go wrong, and most importantly, we do not want anything to go wrong. So safety comes first. And so what we're trying to do is put on a safe show.
John Ripley from Spooner. If you don't like basketball, don't go to a basketball game. If you don't like music, don't go to choir concerts or band concerts. And if you don't like guns, don't go to the gun show.
Again, my name is Paul Bear. As I spoke earlier, I want to make a comment about what I heard earlier from the other comments. A gentleman said that he believes we're here because of what happened on the East Coast, Connecticut, if I'm not mistaken. If anybody here believes that, then shame on all of them. The deaths of those people and children is as tragic as it could ever be anywhere in this country. My heart goes out to the families of those children. I can't imagine losing them. I have children. I have grandchildren now. And if that's the reason we're here, again, shame on everybody for thinking that. That's wrong. You're barking up the wrong tree with that one. We should be more concerned about educating people about guns and what they can do. And once again, someone mentioned Xbox. Let's look at that. Killing and mayhem and going crazy on the TV at home and parents allowing it. Let's start back at home with mom and dad and get down to the roots of our problem. Not blaming the NRA or a gun owner. And it's not the gun's fault. It's the person carrying it. Thanks once again.
My name is Kathy Shattuck, and I came to teach in Spooner in 1973. We raised 2 children. They went through hunter safety, and my husband has been a hunter. And I would just like to say I'm sure that the gun show has always been impeccably safe. That's not the issue. The issue is that guns are not allowed in schools. And to me, it just does not make any sense at all then to therefore allow a gun show to happen on the premise. So I'm not against a gun show. I think gun safety and all of that is very much needed. I just think it would be more appropriate located elsewhere. Thank you.
Evergreen Ed had a very good point at the very beginning that we are elected officials and that we are supposed to represent our constituency, and I was approached by several people to revisit the question of having the gun show in the elementary school. And yes, it was in light of recent events that has brought this back up to the forefront again. It does not sound by visitor comments that my constituency is here tonight, but I feel like that they need to have a voice also in the discussion, and that's why I thought we should bring this up again. It is in perpetuity by when we voted on this in September of 2005. But we did have the right to discuss it again if we felt necessary to do so. I understand the gun culture in this community. I am not against the gun show. There were questions in the visitors' comments as to why we thought we shouldn't have it here. It basically goes to the no-gun policy and the mixed message that you're sending. And I guess my question back, even though you can't reply, is why have it in the elementary school if there are other venues available for this? I don't believe that any education goes on actually at the gun show, and I applaud the Hunter Education Program, and it's a good program, but it's just a matter of the venue rather than the event itself.
Ever since the high school was built, with the support of a good share of the sportsmen in the area, we've encouraged people to use our facilities, and I think it'd be a mistake to change that policy.
One of the issues that I'd like to bring up is, it was mentioned that this was possibly illegal, and I'm assuming that we would never do anything illegal, so
No, it's not illegal.
So it is legal, and if it's legal and it's an organization within the community, how can we deny them that right? And if we're going to deny them the right just because some people don't like it, does that mean every time the facility is used by an organization that we're going to have to visit it and say if some people are offended by it, then we should have a vote on every event that takes place? You know, what happens if an atheist comes in and lives in the community and says, I don't like the auditorium used for the intermezzo choir when they're singing Christmas carols? So what I would encourage those who are against the gun show is try to change the law that makes it legal to have this event at the school. And once it becomes that black and white, then we don't have to sit here and talk about it. Now, having said that, one of the things that we could potentially compromise on, is there any way that the IRPC would be willing to hold this event, say, in the high school instead of the elementary school? It seems to me that the elementary school is kind of a hot button issue because that's where Sandy Hook took place and whatnot. And if that could be a compromise, I don't know if the facility would be as conducive to the gun show as the elementary school is, but would that be something worth exploring?
I would certainly like to sit down and, is there a different venue altogether that the club could use that might be more appropriate and take the school district out of this question? There have been no incidents at the gun shows, and we can make an exception to our gun-free zone, but we still have a no-gun rule in the schools. And so yes, is it legal? But it does send a conflicting message. We also have a no alcohol policy. We don't let groups come in and serve alcohol, so we don't make exceptions there. This is probably the one time we do make an exception. I would just like to see if the Rifle and Pistol Club would be agreeable to look at other venues like the Spooner Ice House in the community, potentially take the school district out of this.
I would say what this discussion is not an assault on the Second Amendment. It has nothing to do with the Second Amendment. We have a state law that says there are to be no guns within 1,000 feet of a school. And then they carve out exceptions to say that, well, you can accept that if you're a licensed vendor. and I'm not a lawyer and I haven't memorized all the clauses, but it goes something like that. But to me, it sends a mixed message to the kids. You're not to have a gun at school. Oh, you can have a gun at school if you're going to sell one. I agree that the gun show has not had any incidents. I think it's very professionally run. I am a gun owner. I have several guns. I am quite fond of my guns, as I think most gun owners are. I've heard it said, and I completely agree, that all guns have a story. I treasure my guns. So don't talk to me about being afraid of guns. I like to handle guns. I like to shoot guns. I do have a problem with having a gun show in the elementary school, particularly when an alternative venue exists. And I understand that the Ice House is potential. If there are some revenues generated by the gun show, and there have been, I mean, the Rifle and Pistol Club has given us $1,200, $1,400 a year that we've used for activities funds, and I'm completely aware of that. But then, are we to be in competition with the business in town? It seems that if you're going to use the Ice House, or support the Ice House as a community function place, maybe those revenues would be better served going in that direction. So I don't want this to become somebody's idea of a beginning of a slippery slope of an attack on the Second Amendment. It is more that I believe that there are more appropriate venues, and we should be consistent about the concept of having a gun-free zone in our schools.
See, a gun show was held in Cornell High School over the last weekend, and my daughter, who loves guns, and her kids, who love guns, went, and it was packed, and there was not any problem, no protesters of any kind. It was real smooth.
Bill, remind me, didn't it come up a few years ago that somebody proposed that we have professional wrestling in the school?
Yes.
And wasn't there some discussion at the board level about that, as how maybe that wasn't appropriate? And so we decided as a board that maybe we shouldn't do that. It just seems to me that there's precedent for the board to look at functions and determine, in their opinion, in their collective voting opinion, whether that's an appropriate phenomenon to have in the school. I mean, pursuant to the idea of an atheist coming in and objecting to Christmas hymns or something.
I have a question for somebody from the IRPC that they can answer me. Is that allowed? Wait, I guess I have a question about the law.
About the law?
Well, I see in the law, I have the laws with me,
Okay.
and it says that, there is that exception, as Nate and Paul both said. And it says that if you are a licensed vendor, and so I'm wondering if all the people that sell or come to this gun show and set up tables, are they all licensed to sell? And I have asked people that had gone to the gun show and have sold, and they told me they were not, so that would make it illegal, correct?
Potentially. Nate, do you or Phil know if they're all licensed vendors by chance?
I have no idea.
IRPC people? Well, I suppose we don't want.
Do we fall under one? Do they have a license? Do we fall underneath that license?
I mean, that's certainly something we could explore. I don't know that, anyone here would have the definitive answer on that. And maybe that is something we need to take back and look at. Okay, really, if you can just address her question specifically, go ahead.
I've run them for about 20 years and I've never asked.
Okay.
I can't tell you.
Maybe that's something we need to look at. Again, we don't have to take action tonight. This was simply a discussion. It would certainly, I think, some of us might be willing to meet with the Rifle and Pistol Club to determine if there is a more appropriate venue. Let's look at the legal issue if there is one. As far as my understanding was that it was perfectly legal to have this gun show.
Well, my vote may or may not depend on that answer. So this is a discussion.
Right. I'm sorry, we're not gonna take comments, I'm sorry.
Well,
So you're looking for more information?
I'm looking for a definition of
Okay.
the law and whether or not there are people that are licensed to be there and sell. If you guys have a license, if they have a license to sell or not, or a dealer license, or who sponsors the show, and if we have been legal all this time to do so.
What kind of a license are you talking
Well,
about?
according to the federal statute, you can have the gun, or the state statute references the federal statute. And you have an exception to have a gun show or have a dealer, but you have to be a licensed manufacturer, licensed dealer to engage in the business of importing or manufacturing firearms. So I'm wondering if all the people that set up tables, if they're of those status.
Well,
Well, there again, it depends on what type of license you're requiring or what they're talking about.
Well, that's why I'm asking, that's why I read the
I mean, there's sales
statute.
tax license, there's a FLL license.
So you have a dealer license.
I have a federal firearms license.
okay, so that's probably what they're referring to.
And if we're at if I'm at a gun show, and I don't normally sell, but I sell parts and things, I display my license. Because they're open to ATF agents can come through anytime they want. And if I don't have my license and I'm engaged in business.
It sounds like we may need an answer on that. I do not like to drag this out though. Because I think if there is a possibility that we're not gonna allow this gun show, that the rifle club, needs to know that as soon as possible. So I'm
Well,
looking
you
for.
could make that a requirement.
Pardon me?
You could make that a requirement. They have a seller's permit or whatever you want.
Well, it already is a requirement, so I don't think we need to make it a requirement. I think it is a requirement by law. Our question is, is it being enforced?
That shooting out there has got nothing to do with our gun shows, absolutely nothing. We haven't had that happen here, I don't think we're gonna happen here. Mr. Bravik has run this along with the volunteers, the guns are checked when they come in, and we've had nothing that's close to an incident. But, I don't know how many of you people are for a gun show here, but I guarantee you one thing. If they get thrown out of this building the next time we want a referendum, you're gonna get a bunch of no's. That's simple. I can tell you how the human brain works. Hell no, they ain't gonna give us 5 cents to support nothing. Now, that gun show ain't hurting nothing here. It's, never have we had much trouble. We've had a few people shot during deer season. We had a bad one at Exxon. But we've had worse things happen in our community. And I agree that we should take it out of the little school down there. But with the supervision we got, that the gun club themselves in there, all the people that come, is safety minded. That I will say, I've been to it a lot. And I do think that it would come off without a hitch, please everybody very much if we could have our gun show at the school. It's warm, the old people don't have to climb the stairs, and it's been very well supervised. I mentioned to some of the board members, should we put it on the referendum for a vote? Well, that kind of scared me, after I said it, because we put Romney and Obama on the vote. You see what the hell happened? Never in my life would I have believed that. I mean, amen, amen. Well, it scares me to death.
Thanks, Willie. I just want to clarify something. You said, are you trying to say you'd prefer to see it not at the little kids' school, but maybe at the high school instead? Okay.
I'm not against the gun show. Anybody that knows me, I would go out on a limb for any person in here, Democrat or Republican, to help them, I think you know. I think it is a good thing that it is here. I think we should keep our gun safety. They mentioned having it at the Civic Center. And all of you have heard that idea, I'm sure.
Well, that Civic Center has never been a success since the first block was laid. It has never made a penny. Butch Johnson owned it, and he's a multi-millionaire many times over. And when Butch Johnson tells me she's a failure, I would like to see that guy put $100 in his pocket, so when he goes bankrupt, that he's got $100 to get back out of this country where he can make some money. That Civic Center, I will bet any one of you will be shut down in a 2-year period.
Yeah. Yeah, I think,
No, it's the
well,
truth.
Willie, let's keep the
You don't want to face
discussion,
the truth, then that's too bad.
Willie, let's keep the discussion on the gun show. What I'm hearing from you is that you
That
support the
Civic
gun
Center,
show,
if we take it down
and you
there,
would like to see it at the high school.
it's gonna
maybe.
go bankrupt,
Okay,
and we're gonna stand here again and really fight to get it back in. We should put it up before the voter, or how many of you people here are for that gun show? Let's see a show of hands. Well, it kinda looks like to me, I think it's a good spot to have it here. We got $1,200 coming in from the soccer team. We get another bunch from that, and I wanna promote youth shooting. Now, everybody was hollering about gun control when Ben Latt knocked over the World Trade Center. You couldn't have got a gun away from nobody if you'd have paid him. Boy, they thought that'd be the greatest thing to have in their life would be a machine gun.
okay, Willie, let's keep it to the gun show, let's keep it to the gun show at the elementary school, okay?
This is about guns
Okay.
in the nation.
I
I
understand.
just wanted to say about the revenues and the fundraiser for the soccer club, that is very nice of the gun club to do that. But I don't want anyone to get the opinion that we have asked them to do that. That is purely a donation on their part. We do not figure that into our revenues or our budget or anything like that.
Bev, have you ever been to a gun show?
I have, Willie.
Yeah.
I took my daughter because it's a
Brandon,
family
have you ever
event.
been to a machine gun show? Well, the
what
thing of it is, this is good for the community. The people want it, and these people are not gonna dish down in their checkbook on the next referendum if we kick them.
We can't use that.
That's my thought.
Okay, we understand your point. Thank you. Any other discussion, otherwise, what
If
I'm,
you lock your wife and your dog in your garage by accident, and you come back 3 hours later, guess which one's glad to see you?
thanks, Willie. What I'm hearing, or hear their comments on how they feel about moving it to the high school, if that would make a difference to the board. And maybe have some of those discussions before February 11th.